So affinity chromatography is one of the important column chromatographic techniques, which is also called as bioselective adsorption chromatographic technique. Why the name bioselective adsorption chromatographic technique is because this technique is suitable for the separation of biomolecules such as proteins, enzymes, hormone receptors, etc. So it is very important technique. Without the use of affinity chromatographic technique, the biological laboratories cannot succeed for their work. So as a popularity of this particular technique, and as chemists, we must understand the principle and what are the components we will be using during the separation of biomolecules by using affinity chromatographic technique. What is the process of separation is involved, and the meaning of matrix activation and its importance, and the importances of spacer arms, and what is the coupling chemistry going to be taken place between the components, and what are the important applications of this affinity chromatography. Let us discuss in today's lecture. First, look at briefly on the principle of affinity chromatographic technique. As I told you, affinity chromatographic technique is a column chromatographic technique. A column is contained with a separation medium. Here, seldom we will call this separation medium as a stationary phase, but more commonly, the medium which is used for the separation is called as matrix. So you can see here the cross-sectional view of the matrix. The matrix components or the matrix particles are tightly packed into the chromatographic column, and the matrix are connected by affinity ligands. These affinity ligands will be more selective for the bioselective interaction with the protein molecules. So whatever the protein molecules or whatever the biomolecule you are intended to separate, those biomolecules or proteins are going to interact with these affinity ligands. So matrix and the ligands are binded together by a certain force of attraction, where the ligand will be binding with the matrix, or the binding between the matrix and the ligand will be reversible or irreversible. We will make this as reversible whenever the ligands are needed to be changed from time to time. Otherwise, the interaction will become irreversible. So, if you assume a chromatographic column is filled with a matrix, and matrix has been binded with a bioselective ligand. Why do we call this as a bioselective ligand? Because this ligand is a responsible phase for the separation of biomolecules. There will be a selective interaction between the proteins and the ligand taken place during the separation of biomolecules. So, the separation of proteins or biomolecules by the reversible interaction between the protein and the ligand. Here, the interaction between the protein and the ligand is going to be taken place. We must not expect any interaction between the protein and the matrix. However, matrix should be very appropriately chosen. If the matrix is not appropriately chosen, the separation success is going to be impaired. So, as the name is implying, the bioselective adsorption chromatographic technique is a selective separation technique for the separation of biomolecules such as proteins, where a ligand is binded with a matrix, and the biomolecules are going to be retained by the ligands which are bioselective in nature. And these ligands will be having certain affinity towards the proteins or biomolecules. Therefore, the proteins whichever showing greater affinity towards the ligand, they are going to stay in the chromatographic column for longer time. And whatever the proteins which are having less affinity or which are having no affinity towards the ligand, they are separated from the proteins which are having greater affinity. So when you pass a sample of biological origin through the chromatographic column, the proteins present in the biological sample can be classified into three varieties: uh, uh, unboundable proteins, weakly boundable proteins, and strongly boundable proteins. This ligand has greater affinity towards the strongly boundable proteins, and it is having weaker affinity towards the weakly boundable proteins, and it has no affinity towards unboundable proteins. So, when you perform the elution process, all those unbounded proteins will be eluted out first, then weakly bounded proteins, then at last strongly bounded proteins. So, this technique is used for the separation of proteins or biomolecules, and the separation order is dependent upon the relative affinity of the proteins for the selective interaction with the ligands. So, what type of interaction is going to be taken place between the ligand and the biomolecule or protein or a target molecule? As I told you, this technique is a bioselective adsorption chromatographic technique. And here we can almost expect biological interaction between the ligand and the target molecule. So even though the interaction will be biological interaction, the responsible force of attraction between the ligand and the target molecule will be electrostatic force of attraction, or hydrophobic interaction, or weak van der Waals forces of attraction, or hydrogen bonding. These are the variety of the interactions expected to be taken place between the ligand and the protein molecules. Any one of these interactions must be possible when a ligand is going to interact with the solute or a protein or a enzyme or a receptor or antibody isotype, whatever it is. So any one of these type of interactions will become consequent for selective holding those protein molecules in the chromatographic column or over the surface of the ligand. So why do we need this affinity chromatography? And what are the advantages of this affinity chromatography? It is a very common question we have to pose ourselves because, first of all, there are no other techniques are as much as suitable, just like affinity chromatography, for the separation of biomolecules, especially proteins. Therefore, the separation of these biomolecules will be achieved with very high selectivity. No other separation techniques will yield selective result for the separation of biomolecules. And the resolution of the separation will become very, very good when you follow affinity chromatographic separation. The capacity for the separation of protein will be highly interested if you use affinity chromatography because we will be using or we will be choosing a ligand in such a way that the bioselective interaction with the protein molecule will be highly satisfactory. Therefore, the high capacity for the protein separation can be expected while using this affinity chromatographic technique. So, the magnitude or the extent of separation efficiency of this affinity chromatography is very high for the separation of the biomolecules which are present in any sample. You take any cellular extract, whatever it is, if it is free from endogenous substances, the protein molecules present in that cellular extract can be easily separated by this affinity chromatography within 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and some separation processes can be completed within 10 minutes. Therefore, purification levels will be in the order of several thousand fold with high recovery of active material, and it is highly expected always. We can anticipate the purification level almost 100 to 10,000 folds high when compared to the recovery by other techniques. Therefore, affinity chromatography is one of the strongest separation tool for the separation of protein molecules or other biomolecules. And once the target protein is collected in a purified and concentrated form, this can be easily subjected for the separation of whatever it may be DNA fragment or DNA fractionations or ATP, ADP, adenosine monophosphate, whatever it is. So if we have a bioselective ligand for the separation process to be completed, the target protein can be easily isolated by means of this affinity chromatographic technique. Therefore, with high selectivity and high resolution and high capacity for the protein of interest, the affinity chromatographic technique will yield satisfactory results. The purification levels in the order of several thousand fold with high recovery of active material are achievable by this affinity chromatography. But from other chromatographic technique, we cannot anticipate all these things. And the target proteins is collected once in the purified form by this affinity chromatographic technique, and even we can increase the concentration of the protein if the protein concentration in the sample was very, very low. By concentration process, after the separation process is over, we can obtain the protein in the highly concentrated level. Therefore, affinity chromatography is always advantageous to use. So once the interaction between the ligand and the protein molecule or biomolecule is initiated, how the elution process is done? Because in a chromatographic technique, especially in every column chromatographic technique, what we will be doing, we take a column and it is filled with the stationary phase, and stationary phase is conditioned, and the stationary phase once becomes selective for the separation of the solutes, we will introduce the sample after dissolving in a suitable solvent into the chromatography column. Once the sample is introduced, the interaction between the solute present in the sample and the stationary phase will be started. And whatever the solutes which are having higher affinity towards the stationary phase are going to reside over the surface of the stationary phase for longer time. And whatever the solute which are having very weak affinity or very less affinity or no affinity towards the stationary phase are going to be eluted. So dependent upon their relative affinities, the solute molecules are going to be eluted. So you know the meaning of elution. Elution is nothing but it is passing a fresh solvent or the fresh mobile phase through the chromatographic column in order to remove the solute molecules which are present in the chromatographic column. So it is a process of washing the chromatographic column by using a fresh solvent or fresh mobile phase. So we can introduce the mobile phase through the chromatographic column. At the initial stage, whatever the solute molecules which are unretained by the stationary phase will be coming out, and in between the unretained solute molecules and strongly retained solute molecules, weakly retained solute molecules will be eluted. And the same scenario can be expected while performing separation by affinity chromatography. How do we do the elution process here? Because here interaction will be bioselective interaction between the ligand and the target molecule. So we have to deactivate the interaction between the ligand and the biomolecule. How do we do this? Here, the interaction taken place between the ligand and the biomolecule must be reversed in order to elute the solutes. The interaction which took place between the ligand and the solute molecule, they must be reversed. They must be reversed. This reversification of the interaction will be done in two ways. Number one is specifically by using a competitive ligand. One bioselective ligand is attached to the matrix, and let us pass other ligand in such a way that the solute molecule which has showed the interaction with the previous ligand can interact with the secondary ligand what we are using as a specific ligand in order to reverse the interaction between the primary ligand and the solute molecule or the protein. So if you pass a species which is known as competitive ligand through the chromatographic column, this competitive ligand will extract all those solutes which have showed the interaction with the ligand which was binded to the matrix. So solute molecules will come out. This is a process called as elution process. Or in other way, because this interaction is dependent upon the chemical conditions or experimental conditions such as pH or ionic strength or polarity. So we can change the pH or we can change the ionic strength inside the chromatographic column, or we can change the polarity of the column, polarity of the solvent what we are passing. If we change the polarity, if we change the ionic strength, if we change the pH non-specifically, why do we say here non-specific? Because this is nowhere specifically related to any biomolecule or any protein, but it is related to the overall experimental procedure. So if you change the pH, if you change the ionic strength, or if you change the polarity, definitely all those protein molecules binded with the ligand must come out. So these are the two ways while performing the elution process in affinity chromatographic technique. So as per this discussion and as per the fundamental definition of affinity chromatography, it is called as a bioselective adsorption technique. It is used for the isolation of a particular protein by chromatography on a bioligand that has been immobilized on an inert matrix. So now you must be very clear about the definition of this affinity chromatography. It is used particularly for the separation of biomolecules such as proteins, where the protein is going to be interacted with the ligand, where ligand is immobilized on an inert matrix. Matrix will be a material which is present in the column, and this matrix will be present in the beads form. Over the outer surface of this matrix beads, the ligands are covalently linked. So these ligands are covalently linked, and over the surface of the ligands, the protein molecules are going to adsorb. Therefore, this is called as bioselective adsorption. These ligands are chosen in such a way that the selective adsorption of the solute or the proteins or biomolecules will be taken place over the surface of the ligands. Therefore, this chromatographic technique is called as bioselective adsorption chromatographic technique. Okay. While performing the column chromatographic separation using affinity chromatographic principle, what are the components required? So as you know, we need a sample because that's what the chromatographic technique we are following, we are employing. Sample will be containing many endogenous substances, many tissues in which the biomolecule such as protein or enzyme or receptor will be present. So we need a sample. Sample must be pre-treated in such a way that the ultimate sample, laboratory ready sample, can be subjected for separation by affinity chromatography in order to isolate the proteins. Therefore, we need a crude cellular extract which must be free from endogenous substances. Apart from affinity chromatography, other analytical techniques are also required in order to remove the endogenous substances, in order to remove other unwanted substances which are present in the tissue. You find out any tissue, you have to extract all those materials present in the tissue. You have to segregate the cellular material from the tissue. Then that must be subjected to remove the endogenous substances. Then a supernatant to obtain from all this process is a ready sample in order to subject it for the separation of proteins by affinity chromatography. So sample is very much essential because we need to separate the proteins or we need to separate the biomolecules which are present in the sample. So matrix is very, very essential while performing the separation by affinity chromatographic technique. This matrix is also a chemical species which will be present in the bead form. Onto the surface of the matrix, a specific ligand is going to be covalently linked or covalently bound. Matrix is also a chemical molecule. Ligand is also a chemical compound. There is a tight interaction going to be taken place by covalent bonding, and this covalent bonding will become responsible to hold the ligand over the surface of the matrix. So, matrix is chosen in such a way that it must not obey some innocuous parameters. So any matrix you are going to choose, it must be insoluble in solvents, what you are going to use either to introduce the sample or during the elution process. So we will be using different solvents in the separation process. So whatever the matrix you are going to use, it should not show any dissolution in the solvents what you are going to use. And it should be mechanically and chemically stable. It should not react with either solvent or it should not react with either ligand in order to undergo any deprivation with respect to its property or with respect to its chemical composition, and its mechanical property should not be disturbed. In such a way, the matrix must be chosen. And the coupling of the matrix with the ligand or the spacer arm must be very easy. You will come across about this spacer arm later. So spacer arm is also a chemical species. Ligand is also a chemical species. It must be very easy to attach the ligand or the spacer arm with the matrix. So such type of matrix must be always recommended. So whatever the matrix you are going to use, it must exhibit good flow properties and it should have a large surface area. Then only the maximum retention of the ligand over the surface of the matrix can be expected. The covalent binding, the covalent linkage between the ligand and the matrix can be expected to a maximum extent whenever the surface area of the matrix is large. And it possesses good flowability. If it is possessing good flowability, it will be very easy to remove the matrix out of the chromatographic column and we can recondition it and we can reuse it. So after considering all these requirements, agarose, glass beads, cellulose, polyacrylamide, polymethacrylate, silica, or even modified silica, all these substances can be used as matrices. Especially for affinity chromatography, this agarose, polyacrylamide, polymethacrylate, silica, cephalose, and very less number of separations, glass base. These are the commonly used matrices for affinity chromatography technique. In this slide, you can come across about certain ligands. What are the types of the ligands we will be using? Because ligand selection is very, very essential. The proteins or the biomolecules are going to interact with the ligand either hydrophobic interaction or by hydrogen bonding. or by van der Waals force of attraction, or dipolar interaction, or electrostatic force of attraction, whatever it is. So the ligand selection must be very, very essential. Very appropriate ligand must be used. So particularly the substances like antibodies, dextran, which is a diligand, triazine dyes, say for example, cibacron blue 3GA, and DNA affinity ligand for the separation of DNA fractions or DNA transcriptions, and some biomimetic dyes, which are group of proteins in the form of peptides. We can use them as ligands, provided they are having maximum purity. So, as I told you, these ligands are also chemical components, and these chemical components are having certain functional groups. So you can see the functional groups present here: OH, 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 CH2PO, NH2, SO3 minus, double bond O, double bond O, like this. So this is a dextran. These are some biomimetic dyes. Of course, the trivial name can also be given, but they belong to biomimetic dyes. They exhibit the property of biomolecules such as proteins. Therefore, their interaction with the protein molecules will become highly selective. Therefore, they are called as biomimetic dyes. And this cibacron blue 3GA, it is also a very important dye, belongs to triazine group of compounds, where NH2 keto group, secondary amine, tertiary amines, and sulfonic acid groups. These are the important functional groups, and they will play very pivotal role during the separation of biomolecules while they used as ligands. Therefore, these type of ligands are particularly used during the separation of biomolecules. Right. Okay. So you understood about the matrices, ligands. Then solvents. What kind of solvents we will be using? So we will be using two important solvents, two types of solvents in affinity chromatography. First one will be the primary buffer, and the second one will be the elution buffer. The solvents will be buffers. The solvents are going to be buffers in affinity chromatography. So primary buffer and elution buffer. The very important role possessed by primary buffer is it should hold the matrix in that. So matrix will be residing in primary buffer. Inside the chromatography column, matrix is immobilized in position. It has occupied the column because of this primary buffer. Apart from the role of residing the matrix in that, this primary buffer should not degrade the matrix. There must not be chemical or physical interaction taken place between the buffer and the matrix. And it should not have any effect on the sample. Even if it is having, should be negligible. So primary buffer should not interact with neither matrix nor sample. It should neither interact with the matrix nor with the sample. And it is used in such a way that there must not be any non-specific interactions between the matrix or the biomolecule and the ligand. The specific interaction we will be anticipating between the ligand and the biomolecule, but this matrix should not interact with the biomolecule, or there must not be any non-specific interaction taken place between the ligand and the biomolecule. It must be only specific. Means the buffer should not alter the property of the ligand as well as matrix, and in the meantime it should enhance the extent of interaction of the biomolecule with the ligand specifically. So these are the requirements while we choose the primary buffer. While we choose the primary buffer, the buffer must not degrade the matrix. The buffer should have no or negligible effect on the sample. It should minimize the non-specific interaction between the ligand and the solute. It should maximize the specific interaction. So after considering the property of the buffers, disodium hydrogen orthophosphate, citrate, tartrate, etc., all these solutions are used as solvents in the form of buffers during the residence of matrix in the affinity chromatographic separation process. Next, the elution buffer. What kind of elution buffer is used? First of all, the elution buffer is used to wash out any unbound or weakly bounded proteins. Initially, you will introduce the sample into the chromatographic column. sample containing weakly bounded proteins, unbounded proteins, and strongly bounded proteins. Once the binding between strongly bounded proteins and the ligands taken place, these weakly bounded or unbounded proteins must be removed out. This will be done by passing the elution buffer, and the concentration will be very low. The elution buffer concentration will be very low. So once the removal of these weakly bounded or unbounded proteins over, we will increase the concentration of the buffer, and we will pass that buffer, elution buffer, through the chromatographic column, and it will become responsible for the elution of the solutes. Then whatever the solute showed the interaction with the ligand, they are also going to be eluted out. So these buffers are specific for specific samples. So we cannot use tartrate buffer for all those samples. We cannot use trihydrochloride for all those buffers. We cannot use ammonium phosphate for all those samples. So these buffers are specific, and they work quickly and not to change the function or activity of protein. Even after the separation process, the property of the protein should not be changed. Say for example, tris hydrochloride buffer.